day, another dollar, I suppose. Pretty uneventful evening yesterday. Just went shopping, excitement. One thing I did notice though yesterday was that there was quite a lot of stock on the shelves, whereas the previous few times I've been up to Morrison's, there hasn't been a great deal up there. Well, I mean there has, don't get me wrong, you know, there's plenty of stuff on the shelves, but there's been a lot of stuff that I like to get missing, you know. I buy these bottles of fizzy water with flavouring in, you know, like lemon and lime water and apple and elderflower water and stuff like that. It's mainly so I don't drink loads of Coke and things like that. I get plain water as well, Brecon Carreg and what have you. And just recently I've been noticing supply issues with Brecon Carreg and with fizzy flavoured water, and that's not just in Morrison's. I've seen the same in Tesco's, and I've seen the same in Asda. And funnily enough, I went up to Lancashire a week ago and I popped into Asda just to have a nose, and they too don't have any, or didn't at the time have any of the flavoured bottled water. So this HGV crisis is a legitimate thing. They can't get the drivers, or the drivers are retired, or the drivers have moved on to something else. I think one of the things that has probably exacerbated this a bit is the pandemic, because if you've got a driver who's in his 60s or late 50s or whatever, and he's just had a fair bit of time off due to the pandemic, he's probably realising just how awful the job is. So they've decided, you know what, stuff it, I'm going to do something else until I retire, and found something else to do. It's extremely long hours, and you've got to deal with traffic and all that business. Imagine being stuck in the traffic all day long in a wagon and having to manoeuvre around tiny little flipping gaps to deliver stuff that you've been ordered to deliver, even though it's ridiculous where they want it delivering to. It drives me nuts, I think. So fair play to them. But it does mean that we're going to have to deal with a few shortages for a while, until some crazy youngsters decide that they want to do the job instead. The money is, well, at the moment at least, the money's not too bad. I was talking to my friend the other day, and he's an HGV driver, and he was saying that he's been working on the crane or something, and he's working for an agency at the moment, and they're paying about £200 a day. So the money available at the moment is really good. But I suppose they're struggling to find anyone to do it, aren't they? So the scary thing, though, I think, is it might get to that stage in the NHS, because before the pandemic we had a shortage of something like 40 or 50,000 nurses. Loads of them were leaving the profession through age and through for other reasons, you know. And we were losing other professionals that the papers don't talk about, you know. You get engineers, medical engineers leaving the profession to work for private companies. You know, you get people who work in the likes of EBME and they go and work for GE instead, or Mortara or Philips or one of the other medical companies, purely because they get lots more wages, you know. know that the pension scheme in the NHS is still good, but it's not as it used to be. The fantastic final salary pension that they all used to have. So although the NHS was never particularly the best wages, it always had an absolutely superb pension that everyone used to plump for. They said, well, I'm not going to get paid that much, but the pension is absolutely fantastic. Well, these days the pension is still good, don't get me wrong, it's not rubbish, it's still a good pension, but it hasn't got the draw of that old one, and you haven't got the wages either. So people are leaving in droves. So it's a shame, really. And then you've had the 2008 financial crisis, David Cameron and all that. And since then, really, public sector has been fairly nailed down with wage increases. So you haven't really seen much of a wage increase. In fact, to be honest, with inflation, you pretty much just had a wage decrease since 2008. So now in 2021, it's taken its toll and everyone's buggering off. And they're harping on in the press at the moment about this, is it 1.5% pay increase, and then they went, oh, we're going to upgrade it to 3%. But that doesn't cover the donkey's year's worth of zero uplift. So a lot of people have just gone, do you know what, sod it, I'm off, and they've cleared off. And then the pandemic struck, and that's made things even worse, because loads of people are leaving. The people in the 50s who were worried about being ill and were almost at the point of retirement have gone. They've retired. I know, because I work with a few, you know. So you've got all those experienced staff leaving. And then you're getting people who are burnt out who are leaving. So it's a bit of a difficult time for the NHS at the moment. Trying to lure staff in. Especially when, well, you get £200 a day being a lorry driver, do you know what I mean? It's not really a job, I don't think. It's more of a vocation kind of thing, really. But then people do have to live. There's a heck of a lot of expense these days, isn't there? I mean, I went to the shop the other day. I went up to Morrison's and there was nothing on the shelves. But I bought a load of shopping and it wasn't a great deal, you know. It was just enough to cook meals for a few days. I got some chicken, I got some chops and things like that, you know, and I got some potatoes and what have you. And it wasn't a load of rubbish, you know. I didn't get like loads, you know, a big trolley full of pies, etc. And I didn't get loads of washing powder and makeup and all that kind of business, you know. So it wasn't like a big house shop or whatever you call them. And I got to the till and I went to pay, and it was 115 quid, and there was enough stuff really to last for, I don't know, 4 days, 5 days maybe. So shopping isn't cheap. And fuel isn't cheap now either. I remember when I used to be walking up to college, people were grumbling because fuel was 79p. How on earth can it ever reach 79p for a litre? People were saying, I remember when it was 79p for a gallon. What was it at Esso just then? £1.39 or something? So everything has been flying up in price for a number of years, but wages seem to have stagnated, and if it's public sector, it seems to have been acceptable. At least it's been acceptable to management and the government, but not acceptable to the staff, who have all left in droves, and it starts to lead to an NHS in crisis because everyone's buggered off. We've got huge waiting lists, no kidding. You know, there's loads of people waiting for operations. I wonder why. You can never get an appointment at the GPs. No kidding. You know what I mean? Because trying to get the staff is virtually impossible. I mean, locally, I live in Conisky, and I mean, is it the St Mark's surgery? All the GPs left. They've been trying to get locums in. I mean, all the GPs left, all of them. Zero GPs left in the surgery. They've been trying to get locums in, and people have been complaining on Facebook constantly they can never get an appointment and all this business. So they're trying to get GPs to come there and what have you. It looks like they're struggling. Probably because there's only so many locums and they're all stretched all over the place because everyone's quit. And there's loads of other roles and things like that that you never really see, you never think about when you think about the NHS. Like there's electricians, and there's fitters, engineers, and there's plumbers and things like that. These are all in-house people employed by the trust. Well, over the years, these people get older and older and older, and then retire, and they don't get replaced. So, say 6 electricians go down to 5, then they go down to 4, then they go down to 3. They go down to 2, but there's still the same amount of work to be done. In fact, probably more. So, how is it expected to work like that? And then, even if they're trying to recruit young ones, I suppose they could get someone like an apprentice type person, maybe to stay for 2 or 3 years. But as soon as they realise how much money they can make in the private sector, they're off. So something has to be done to make the NHS more attractive to young people and to try and retain the staff that they've got at the moment, because this crisis, I think, is just going to get worse and worse as more and more people abandon ship, because not everyone has got that Florence Nightingale vocation outlook on it anymore, you know. I mean, some still do, don't get me wrong, there are still a few good NHS champions out there who are just in it to look after you, want to make a difference and all that business, but these are modern times, those attitudes are changing. So we need to start looking into retention. Difficult one, really. And I can't see a suggestion coming anytime soon, but you never know. darker down the lane at the moment. I think the winter is starting to draw in ever so slowly. Just hit autumn and there's a few cars coming up and down here now with headlights on, whereas not that long ago I'd be absolutely roasting driving down here with the window open, both windows open, listening to the birds tweeting at this time of the morning. So I think that those dark mornings are going to be here again soon. Dark mornings and dark evenings as well. When you're coming to work and it's night time, and you're going home and it's night time. I don't mind driving at night, I must admit. I prefer it in some ways because you can see what's coming round corners and things. But it can be a bit dangerous because in places like this you get dog walkers and you get people who are just off out for a bit of a plod, and you can't see some of them because they've got no reflective gear on, so you don't know they're there because it'll be pitch black. In places like this there's no street light here, so it's just going to be absolutely pitch black. Now I'm very, very careful because I don't want to run anyone over, but sometimes people do tend to speed up and down there, so it makes me even more nervous going down there at night. I do really take my time. Like corners like this, you come around this corner here now and there could be a chap with a dog. There's no path to see either side, no street lights. Bit of a wider road here, which is good, but still definitely worth taking your time and being careful. You get a variety of drivers coming up and down here. Some of them are quite happy to stick to 50, but some are really not. They want to go 80 miles an hour and that's the end of it, you know what I mean? The chap in front here wants to go about 35, 40, which for me, I'm not bothered, but a large group of incensed and angry cars behind me are not too happy about it. I suppose some people are late for work. Luckily I'm like 20 minutes early, so quite a pleasant little drive in today so far. Never know when a speeding flipping horse is going to leap out of a field or something mad. Roundabout head. Watch out here. was saying the other day, sometimes people don't indicate on this roundabout, so you're never too sure if they're going to go straight on, go left, or swerve round in front of you. So I generally wait until everyone's cleared off and it's nice and clear if I can. Well, it was fairly uneventful, really, that, wasn't it? He says, so far. Now, I dropped down to 30 here, but most of the cars, including the slow chap in front, don't. I think it's seen more of a nuisance than anything, this 30 section here. But it's 30 limit for a reason, so boring old me sticks to it. I usually give an indication to let the cars know behind that I'm going to clear off left, just in case any are not going into the hospital grounds, because it gives them a chance to get past, like this chap here who was just behind me on the right there in the Audi. Because I'm indicating, he knows that I'm going into the hospital, so he can get across. It doesn't have to be delayed. Don't get chased by that Range Rover. Rightio. I usually stop filming on the trust site, so I'll say goodbye for now. And I hope you have a pleasant day. TFM.